Welcome back, everybody. Now we've got our second reaction to an idiot sovereign citizen. This guy gets stopped by a police officer, starts citing law at the cop, as usual, confidently wrong. We're going to show some of that footage, show where he maybe could have avoided an arrest, but instead he gets a free search of his car. So we'll roll the intro, we'll cut right into the footage.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Officer Ross with the Atlanta Police Department. Do you have a license on you, boss?
Is there a reason to stop me?
So one, your tag is expired, and two, that you don't have tail lights on your tag.
Yeah. You do know the law, right?
Yes, that's why I stopped you.
It's called Corpus Delicti. There must be an injured party for a crime to be committed.
Okay, this is one of my favorite little sovereign citizen stupid word games. He says, it's called Corpus Delicti. There must be an injured party for a crime to have been committed. So these people are double stupid, because what Corpus Delicti actually means, not in sovereign citizen crazy land, but in actual legal land, it means that the state has to prove that the crime actually occurred before they can convict someone of committing it. If you want to convict someone of speeding, you have to prove that a car was actually speeding. If you want to convict someone of murder, you have to prove that there was actually a murder. This is why it's difficult to get a murder conviction in, for example, a missing persons case, because you can make the argument that, well, they're missing, that doesn't mean that they're dead. That's what Corpus Delicti means. We have to prove that there was actually a crime before we can convict you of committing the crime. And that makes a lot of sense. You don't want to go around convicting people of crimes that didn't actually occur or didn't actually happen. Where this becomes an issue, and we'll talk more about this as Mr. Sovereign progressively digs himself a deeper hole. In sovereign citizen online and YouTube and seminar communities, they have a fake quote. As usual, they cite a Supreme Court case. And I'm going to put on the screen here what appears to be a brief that was filed by a sovereign citizen in a Montana court. And it says, for a crime to exist, there must be an injured party, parentheses, Corpus Delicti. There can be no sanction or penalty imposed on one because of this constitutional right. And they cite Sherer versus Cullen 481 F 945. That sounds like a great little quote, doesn't it? The problem with that on the screen now, Sherer versus Cullen doesn't actually say that. Sherer versus Cullen is a 1973 Supreme Court case holding that an employee of the government, the IRS in this case, can't be fired for exercising their Fourth Amendment rights. Specifically, the IRS wanted to conduct an audit of this person's financials without probable cause. Sherer said, no, you have to go get a warrant if you want to conduct an audit of my records, which in any other case where they want to do an audit, they have to get prior judicial review. That's what Sherer versus Cullen said. I'm going to put on the screen here the transcript of Sherer versus Cullen so that y'all can read it. And all you SovCit crazy people who think that Corpus Delicti means that you can't have a crime without an injured party, search that transcript. Show me where I'm wrong. I will apologize to you publicly if you can find those quotes in the Sherer versus Cullen transcript, because it's not there.
You carry your bond for that reason?
So I stopped you on a traffic stop, sir. I'm not going to ask you again to identify yourself, okay? Do you have a license?
Please call your supervisor.
So he's threatening to go after their bond.
Can I get a 45-minute supervisor?
Again, classic SovCit.
Sir, I'm going to ask you one more time to identify yourself. I told you the two reasons that I stopped you today. You don't have any lights on your plate, and then it's expired. Now you're refusing twice. Are you refusing to identify yourself? If you refuse to identify yourself, you're going to jail for resisting. Failure to do so, this is my third time. You need to ID yourself.
And that's not a law.
Okay.
And you can carry a bond for that reason. Each violation costs you $250,000. So now, I'll gladly get out the door.
You get free money if the cops stop you. And you, yeah, right. This is,
Okay.
I don't know
So
where
you're
these
not
people
going to
get
give
their
me any sort of
misinformation. This is
identification,
amazing.
nothing.
I love how confidently incorrect these guys are. He's totally wrong about what Corpus Delicti, but he's so confident about it. Like, he knows that he's right, but he's not.
Been committed. The crime is called Corpus Delicti. If there's no injured party, no crime has been committed. You can't attach a fee. You can't use license, registration, insurance, any of that. That's called res judicata. Anything passed down from the Supreme
You have the
Court
supervisor to
stands
your
for
right.
all 50 states.
Okay, so credit where credit's due. He's kind of right about what res judicata, kind of, sort of. Res judicata means the thing was decided, and it means that if there's a prior precedent involving a particular situation, that you don't go back and revisit that decision. I think the phrase he was actually looking for was stare decisis, which means let the decision stand, which means that you prior precedent is binding on, but he's kind of right that res judicata is the appropriate phrase there. Unfortunately, he's wrong about what the law is, so res judicata doesn't matter.
Yep.
If they know the law, because of course the law states ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Okay, so what's your question?
So I asked.
Isn't it ironic that these people quote ignorance of the law is no excuse? Like, just peak irony. Yes, ignorance of the law is no excuse, and that's why you're going to go to jail.
Asked her why she stopped.
Yeah.
She said tag.
Okay.
That's not a crime. The crime is corpus delicti.
Okay.
No inter party, no crime has been committed.
Okay, so instead of Florida can't have expired tags,
Sorry?
is it expired tag? So you have 2 violations of Florida state statute, and your vehicle's in Florida. So those are 2 violations. You can stand here and argue with me. Here's the deal. You're going to step out of the car, and you're going to identify yourself. And if you refuse those 2 things, you're going to go to jail. You got it?
Okay, so now,
Okay. They're giving you a lawful order to get out of the vehicle, and if you refuse to get out of the vehicle, you're going to go to jail.
listen, understand
Okay.
now, if we're going to do that, then I'm going after everybody's bond, okay?
That's fine.
Dude thinks he can threaten a cop. And I love that the supervisor here is just like, yeah, go for it, buddy.
Open up the vehicle. Open up the vehicle.
You said what?
Open up the vehicle.
Okay. You want me to open or you going to open?
You can open it because your door is not working.
Props to this guy for not getting his window busted, and props to the cops. I don't know, props or not, it'd be more entertaining to see his window get busted, but cops are being a little bit more patient with him. You know, they're actually letting him get out, not pulling him out of the window. This isn't one of those videos.
Let me get your phone.
All right. You want to take the phone too? All right.
Did you move to Florida?
I'm sorry?
Are you moving to Florida, or are you just visiting?
I moved
How long have you been in Florida?
3 months.
Do you have
Here's where I have to interject a little bit of criticism here. This dude is so enthusiastic about standing on his rights and not identifying himself and standing on Corpus Delicti and a crime hasn't been committed and so forth. But then when it comes to having your conversation with the police outside of the car, where you can invoke your right to not talk to the cops, because you don't have to talk to the cops, get you out of the car and start asking you questions. He doesn't have to answer any of these questions. He has to identify himself and that's it. He doesn't have to respond to any of these, but he's doing it. In some situations that might be the right move, but for somebody who is a committed civil libertarian and committed to standing on their rights, as he was in the first 30 seconds of the video, now he's deciding, oh, maybe I should have a conversation with the cops. Just interesting.
Florida license or no? No. Do you work in Florida?
We'll see about that now, won't we?
Well, this doesn't mean you're going to jail. All right?
All right.
We just got to conduct our investigation. You're refusing to identify yourself, so we'll go through that.
I haven't committed a crime.
Have a driver's license or just an ID card?
Just ID. I have my traveler's card.
Your travel.
It's traveler's card. There we go. We're not driving, we're traveling. That D on the gear shift doesn't mean anything.
Traveler's card? Where's that at? It's in here. And what's a traveler's card do for you?
I love this supervisor's great. Says, what does a traveler's card do for you?
That's what I'm doing. I'm traveling. I'm not driving. Driving is an underground
Okay.
railroad process.
Okay. Turn around for me.
You got anything on you that's gonna poke me, stick me? No. Nothing else on you, right?
Just amazing that this person has managed by sheer idiocy to turn what could have been a simple ticket and go on your way to get what appears to be 6 or 8 cops down there, massive waste of policing resources, and he gets to go downtown and deal with an arrest and spend a night in jail and all that stuff over nothing. Like I said, if any one of you sovereign citizen idiots who watches this video wants to go quote me the law on Corpus Delicti means if there's no injured party, then there's no crime, I'll have that fight with you, because you're wrong. That is something that you made up and cited to a Supreme Court case, and that language doesn't appear. So, as always, take care, and we'll see you guys next time.